Hey everyone, you're listening to Live with Necee. I am your host, Opal Bailey, and I have a wonderful guest by the name of Patti Hurst. She's from Devereaux. Good morning, Patti.
Oh, good morning, Opal, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So let's jump right into it. Could you tell us what is Devereaux?
Yes, Devereaux is actually a national foundation that was organized back in 1912 by a woman by the name of Helena Devereaux. Helena was a special educator that realized at that time not every child could be cared for, especially children with special needs in the public school system. So she began this foundation in 1912 by taking children with special needs who couldn't be as accommodated as she had hoped into her own home and providing very tailored, individualized services for them. And today, fast forward 100 and some years later, Devereaux exists in over 11 states in the United States. And Florida is the second largest treatment program for Devereaux, established in 1988. So we continue to provide highly individualized services to children with emotional needs, behavioral health care needs, children that are on, when I say children, children and teens, that are on the autism spectrum. And now our most recent program implementation is for girls removed from human sexual trafficking.
What are the ages of children and teens that you accept, and what is the limitation of them?
Well, we have a number of different programs and levels of treatment within Devereaux. We have services that we provide in some places in Florida that are prevention in nature. So that might be from birth up to the 18th birthday and inclusive of assisting some families. We have foster care programs in some parts of Florida. Here in Brevard, our main focus is residential treatment. We have group homes, and we have a very intensive residential treatment program / specialty hospital. This is the program that you toured that has 136 beds. That license allows us to have children as young as 5, but only up to in most circumstances, up to the 18th birthday. So it varies depending on the setting that the child is in the program and how it's licensed by the state of Florida, the Department for Children and Families, the Agency for Healthcare Administration. We have a number of people that are regulating our programs to ensuring that we're providing the best quality treatment possible for these children.
Can you share your typical day at Devereaux?
A typical day at Devereaux. Well, probably typical means atypical, but in any program that a child exists, all of these children are coming from some unfortunate circumstances. A lot of them have been, not all of them, but a lot of them have been abused and neglected. And so that what we really can provide for them that they need beyond clinical treatment is structure. So I'm going to use our hospital as an example. 24-hour service provision to these children who live with us, anywhere from 9 months to a year and a half, and sometimes even beyond that. So our direct care staff that are with our children, direct care professionals, 24 hours a day, they're in this home-like setting with them, waking them up, seeing that they do hygiene, taking them over to the cafeteria to get their breakfast. They have a little bit of downtime. Then it's time for school. Regardless of where a child is placed, they are going to be part of a school day because school is the business of children. I mean, it's very important that we provide academic services as well as clinical services to these kids. And at that hospital campus, and I'm speaking of the one on Morrell Road, we have our own private school that is privately accredited, but we follow the school system, if you were, that Brevard County has. So what we provide in terms of curriculum and so forth is in sync with Brevard County School Board. After school, then the fun begins because the children they have recess and so forth within the school day, but they have physical activities, which, as you know, are important for every child. They also have therapies that need to occur. Each of those children also has either a clinical therapist, a master's level clinical therapist, or a behavioral therapist. And some children require both of those modalities. In addition to that, we have nurses physically present on all of the residential units. So the nurses are working with the kids as well. They work on not just healthcare matters, referring them to a physician when they're ill, but they also conduct groups and classes for the children. Our nursing director, we're very proud of her diabetic teaching class. She does menu planning for kids that come in, and she provides them with the knowledge of how they can have wonderful diets. It's not about what they can't have, it's about what they can have. So she takes them, she does meal planning, they go shopping at Publix, they come back, they prepare the food. It's a wonderful program, and everybody, including staff sometimes, is surprised at what can be possible for these children. Because we're a hospital and we have a pediatric endocrinologist, Dr. Duncan, on our staff since day one, we can take some very brittle diabetics. So kids that are non-compliant with their diabetic treatment are perfect for our program because we have the behavioral expertise and the medical expertise as well to meet the child's needs.
Now, when I toured your facility last week, you took me down to some of the classrooms. So can you express or share how does each classroom ministers, I say minister, to each
minister
child's
is a good
need?
word. Yeah, minister is a good word. Well, our children are actually organized by grade level, which for them sometimes is reading level. And unfortunately, we get kids in at a very advanced stage that are non-readers. So a big thrust in the morning, the very first class of the morning, which is something I don't interrupt with tours, that's considered very sacrosanct, is reading program. We're trying to elevate that child's reading level. So by the time they leave us, they're either on level or they're close to being on level. We have a lot of success with that because we put our emphasis for that. So we have about 20 classrooms, and they're organized according to age and gender. We have the girls' teen unit is in separate classes from the boys' teen unit, and I think that's probably understandable. We don't want the children to be distracted with a lot of normal teenage issues that come up. We really want the focus to be on their treatment, and while they're in the school, on their academic treatment. Everything we do at that campus is considered treatment, and everything is a treatable moment for the children. So it's run very professionally. I think the thing that I admire most about the classrooms in that campus, because we do such very specific work, it's long-term but intensive residential treatment for children. We have children that are admitted to us not only from around Florida and locally here, but from around the United States and in some cases the islands and around the world. Therefore, if a child is coming to us from, I'm just going to throw out an example here, New Jersey, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and they're on track to graduate with a regular diploma, as many of our children do. We hold graduations there upon the occasion when kids meet their criteria. They will have the curriculum needed for them to continue to complete that diploma as directed by whoever governs Cherry Hill, New Jersey's high school program. And when they leave, they will have a diploma in their hand that says their home high school on it. It will not say Devereaux. It will say Cherry Hill, New Jersey High School. And I think that that's amazing to me, that the teachers who are providing already clinical treatment for the kids, behavioral treatment while they're in the classroom, academic treatment that meets all of Brevard County standards and beyond, to whatever that, again, goes back to that individualized treatment concept that Helena Devereaux had and we still provide today. In addition to those nuances, we have, as you saw, Opal, a lot of technology in our school. And that's due to our principal, Pam Kenny, who really is a believer that if our kids aren't exposed to it when they're with us, they may not be exposed to it again until they're back in a regular classroom. And it's so important that they're at that same level. It helps them tremendously if we can prepare them, because the transition is difficult alone. And then if they go back to something that they're not familiar with, it's even more difficult for them. We have smartboard technology in all of the classrooms. We're very proud of that. For your listeners who may not know what that is, that's a very interactive program. Whatever the teacher can find on her computer to project onto the whiteboard, we are able to show our children. I've seen our kids get CNN Student News every day, which is a very understandable version for children that then they can have a conversation about what's going on around the world. It's important that our kids not miss out on anything just because they're in residential treatment with us. It's a very interactive system. I've seen kids think they're playing basketball games when actually they're learning math. I've seen sort of the old Scrabble idea electronically, and all of these games always reward the kids for the right answer, prompt them, support them, are very positive for them. And, of course, the teachers can show educational movies, anything that can be projected from a laptop the child can see and interact with on these smart boards. It's wonderful technology. We're currently at a point of trying to place a Chromebook in the hands of each of our children, too, because, that's where the world is today. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be any different for these kids just because they're 10, 11, 12, 15, 16 years old. So we also have a stationary computer lab. And we have things like a regular library that has the Dewey Decimal System. No matter where this child goes home to, however home is going to be defined for them, there's a library not far away, and we want them to be able to know that this is a place they can go. It's a good place that they can go. Reading is good for them, but it's also a positive place for them to go. They need to have those things in their lives, otherwise they often have a lot of time on their hands. Kids with time on their hands don't always do so well. So our school day is all about preparing them in many ways just beyond academically. We have a sports program. We've had a coach that's been with us for over 20 years, and he provides sports to the kids. We have a pool on campus when it's appropriate to use the pool, a fishing dock for our kids, and that doubles as a nice place for the clinicians to have therapy with the children as well. A very beautiful health and wellness center that the public, our supporters, helped us to build a couple of years ago. So we have all kinds of opportunities for our children in there, including a gymnasium. And so they're getting their physical education as well as academic education.
When I left from the tour, one thing that stood out to me the most was when you had mentioned we are not a controlled program.
Yes,
that,
thank you for asking that question, Opal. I think the public sees and hears things about what happens, especially on that campus, because it's very intensive. So that means initially when the child comes in, they have very intensive behaviors. But Devereaux is not a juvenile justice system. There are other programs around that are juvenile justice systems that meet the needs of those kids. Does that mean that we don't have children that have had minor brushes with the law? Of course. If you're a child and you've been highly abused and left to your own devices and truant in school and or have mental health issues, sometimes those situations find you, and the children can be a victim to that as well. But you saw we don't have a fence around our campus, we have a security guard. Yes, the residential units are locked, but that's for the protection of the children. Oftentimes we are protecting these children from their abusers as well as just giving them the normal childhood protection that any parent would. It is a place of treatment, a place of clinical treatment, and it is not a place that children, quote unquote, escape from. This is not the type of program that it is. You saw we are treating children in a variety of ways and locations on the campus. The kids are walking around. Now they're always with staff. We have licensure laws that require us, because of the level of care, to have staff in attendance with them at all times, and we exceed those in a positive manner. So Devereaux is in the business of doing the best practices in treatment and supervision that are possible for our children in this level of care.
What are some of the challenges you've faced?
One of the biggest challenges, I would say, is children aging out of care, and they're not being that next step in the system. I think a lot of places do a very good job at providing treatment programs within their states for children that have needs